Fearless Project Part 2. We're talking about fear in pursuing your career. We had a great discussion via Facebook Live last week. I hope you caught those highlights. If you didn't, make sure you click below and get the full scoop of what we were talking about in fear in pursuing your career. A lot of creatives out here, we don't know what we're doing. We need some direction. We need some help. If you're like me, I know I need help. So make sure you check out right now Part 2 of our discussion, Fear in Pursuing Your Career. Welcome back to the Fearless Project. I'm your host, Marvi, over here at Marvi TV Studios, where we are talking about focusing more and fearing less when it comes to pursuing a career. So one of the things in the Fearless Project, I don't want to glorify fear. I think that it's important that we don't just focus on fear is ruling my life and ruining my life. But I want us to walk away with some practical things that we can do to address these things that we fear when they come up. Anything that you want to share?
Closing thoughts, I think big goals, make them small, get accountability, get clarity, and cut your learning curve. Find somebody, it's an analogy that somebody is on top of a mountain and you are on the bottom. And if you find somebody who's on top of the mountain to help you get up the mountain, you'll get up the mountain 5 times quicker than they did. So they could throw a rope down, they could throw a ladder down, they could, it's about mentorship. So find those people who are doing what you are already doing, learn from them, listen to them. My pastor, my mentor Richie, he taught me so much that today, we don't talk every day like we used to, but today I'm still reaping the benefits from the things he's taught me. So when you have those people who have already played the game, already been there, the Bible's key. So find those people who are where you are, and you'll be less scared. Take those big goals and make them small. You'll be less scared, and just learn, man. There's two types of people in life. There's know-it-alls and there's learn-it-alls. You just gotta be a learn-it-all. Learn everything you can. Just keep learning. Every single day, grow. And I think once you do that, and once you commit your habits to your goals, you'll achieve anything. So.
I just wanted to touch on the whole calling that we were talking about before, and just give a brief testimony of my calling. Growing up in the church is oh, you're gonna be a pastor. I'm like, you probably say that to any 13-year-old boy that prays. You're gonna be a pastor starter pack. In church, wear a suit, you know what I mean? When they ask you to read, you're gonna be a pastor, yeah, whatever. But I can definitely testify to the fact that God will definitely use people to confirm that calling, and people will speak things there's been times where people I've just met have said something I was standing in the back of the room one time, and the lady was in the front. She was saying something. She was like the pastor in the back. And I legit thought someone walked in behind me, so I turned around because there was a door right behind me, and she was like, oh, he's not accepting it yet, he's not in it yet, he's not in it yet. I was like, what? And that's not the only time, but God has usually definitely used people in that way to call that out of me. And now I'm in a position where I'm doing this and it feels natural in a sense where it's not I was telling Dennis one time that if I look back throughout my life and the quote-unquote best things or best opportunities I've ever had have never been something I had to grind for or hustle for or leave comments under someone's picture for them to big me up and get followers for, you know what I mean? It's always been God opening doors when I wasn't even trying to be known or be on a platform. God just opened up ways, and in the meantime, you're working on your craft. So I told somebody a few weeks ago that they're the one that actually asked me to preach the very first sermon I ever preached. And when we were in a meeting before I was asked to preach, and we said the theme of an event that we were having, it was scripture was coming to my head oh, this could be the message, and it wasn't oh, choose me, choose me, choose me. It was a legit hey, can you do this? I was yeah, but meantime, I've been working on it in the background. So I know a lot of times as progressives, we're like, you got to grind for yours, which is true. You do have to have, like the Bible talks about working hard and all that type of stuff, but you can't work into God's favor. Like God does things that you can't do on your own. And as we were talking about fear and dealing with fear in our pursuit of careers, I just had four like reminders. The first thing is remember whose you are. And I took that from Matthew 6:25 to the end.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Look at the birds of the air, they don't sow or reap, but your Lord God provides for them. And look at the flowers of the field, and even Solomon in his splendor wasn't as beautiful as these flowers. So in our pursuit of career, remember whose you are. And I have this analogy that I was using when I talk about that. Like, God is providing for you, and it's not like a leftover, what left, like you get what I don't want type of thing. And the analogy I use is like my father, my earthly father. Like my father's the one that cooks in my house. My mom can cook, but she doesn't have to cook. My father likes to cook. My father's thinking about, my father is thinking about in advance, Jamaicans and Sunday dinner. He's thinking in advance from last week what's being cooked next week. Yep. And he's not only thinking about what's coming up next week, but he's buying it, he's seasoning meat, he's freezing, like he's doing all the things to prepare for what I'm gonna get next week. And so when I come home and there's dinner cooked, it's not like my father cooked dinner for himself and he didn't eat all the oxtail, so I'm just lucky enough to get some gravy. He's made a preparation for me because I'm his son. So as we think about our careers, remember whose you are. Nice. Because God is making preparations for you. And sometimes we don't know what's ahead, and you really there's no money in that, God, but sometimes God is doing something in advance. Like He done seasoned up this job for you. It's like in the freezer, it's just ready for you to thaw out and simmer. So the first thing I want to say is remember who you are. The second thing is remember who's your priority. In the same chapter, Matthew chapter 6, verse 24, Jesus says you can't serve God and money. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we could be so money driven. Like what's the money looking like? Like, I need to make a money move next. Yeah. That you get caught up and you lose sight of your purpose because of money. So remember who's our priority, like who's our provider. So we can't serve God and serve money. So there's people who are very successful who are grinding, and those people also sometimes have miserable family lives. Mm-hmm. Those people are sometimes on the top of their, like in the top of their corporation or in their investment firm, and they want to kill themselves because when you're serving money, that's something that can't fulfill you. So remember who you're loyal to and who's your priority. The proverb said, the blessing of the Lord, Proverbs 10:22, it makes a man rich, but it doesn't, painful toil. Amen. There's a lot of painful toil to get these riches, but there's a way that we could live that God says, you know what? Because I know that you're not going to be so full of yourself, and you're not going to cease to give me glory, I'll use you as a conduit of my blessing. I'll bless people through you. So it's not really I'm blessing you. I'm being blessed by default, but it's not just for me to be like, oh, look at how God's blessed me. God is trusting me in a way that He's saying, I could pour blessing into you, and those not just going to sit still and harbor roaches or mosquitoes, West Nile, and all that type of stuff. It's going to be flowing. Like the blessing is going to be flowing through. So you are in a position where you could give people a job. You're in a position where you could mentor someone. You're in a position where you could fund the local church and tithe and do all that type of stuff because God is blessing you and He's not adding a painful toll to it. I'm going to keep going and I'm going to wrap up. The third thing is remember what impact I won't be before you long.
We know He's going to have the way. He already has that
on tonight. The third thing is remember what impact you'll have now. Romans 12:2 calls us to be transformed by the renewing of our mind, right? And then when I think about Philippians 4 verse 8 and 9, where it says whatever things are pure, whatever things are true, whatever things are of good reputation. If there be any, you know the verse, if there be any virtue, think on these things. We have to be mindful that while we're in pursuit of these careers, like, what are we really thinking about in pursuit? Like, we can't be one to be in the church, but also like have a thriving chain of stripper joints. You know what I mean? Like what I'm trying to say is that you have to have what you're trying to do, the change that you're trying to be, has to be something that is worthwhile. Like, we have to be using these efforts for something. Teaching, bringing up the new generation. Using art to express how God has blessed us and God has given us this ability to appreciate this type of stuff. Like, what are you thinking about that's going to be manifesting in your actions?
It's edifying.
It's edifying to people and glorifying Christ. And the last thing is, what legacy / inheritance will you leave? Proverbs 19 verse 14 says, wealth and houses are inherited from parents, but a wife is from the Lord. We're not talking about the wife, I'm talking about the wife. And Proverbs 13:22 says, a good person leaves an inheritance for their children's children. And you know, when we're thinking about our context as minorities in a country, when you look at the difference in wealth, the main reason that there's a difference in wealth between different people is passing on wealth. There's a time when we couldn't own things and other people could. And because they owned things when it was like a cent, and then it got handed down, that cent has been like $1 billion, is like $1 billion business or $1 billion house or whatever the case is. But so we as a people also need to be forward thinking, like, what am I doing now that's going to be left for those that's coming behind me to build upon? Because that's how, not that we're not serving money, but like I said, money, like, Sprint doesn't take love. Like, I tried it. They sent me a reminder. I sent mad hearts, and then I'm like, your account is about to be shut off. I sent down like heart eyes, and it was like, please don't respond to this number again. So there's a practical side of our faith where, yes, we have faith, but you also have to work. Right? And the Bible says if a man don't work, he shouldn't eat. So there's a part that we have to work, but what are we doing that's going to really be setting a platform and setting our future up for success? Like, we're not handing down debt. We're not handing down bad credit scores. We're not setting up cable in 3-year-olds' names and messing their credit up before they
But we see you.
But those are my tidbits that I'd like to take away or leave as a takeaway as we pursuing our careers. Remember whose you are. Remember who you're loyal to and your priority is. Remember, I don't remember the third one. Remember what impact you will have now, and remember what legacy and inheritance you want to leave for those coming behind you.
Praise the Lord.
I think another key is the people you're surrounded by. I don't care what anybody thinks. Alvin and Marvin know that. I really don't care what anybody thinks. But it was bad to a point where it's like, I'll be in meetings, we'll all be in meetings, I'll be like, you know, and they checked me, you know, and it just goes, and me and Leon have had conversations in the car. I was like, yo, get out my car. Get out of my car. And he's like, no, I got something to say. And I'm like, shut up and get, you know. But these people have checked me and have brought me to a place where I do have to care about what people think, and I do have to show respect to certain people and show respect to certain things in certain situations. And without having those people around me, I wouldn't be. Shane too. Shane is like my bestest friend, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? And these people have kept me on point. And if you don't have those people around you, you will not. You won't. You just won't win. You just won't. You just can't win. And evaluate yourself. You know, you have to audit what's around you. Just like Alvin said, you have to audit why you're doing what you're doing. Are you really doing it for God? And audit the people around you. Are they really around you for the reasons that they need to be around you, or do they just make you feel good? Am I around people who are going to cause me to grow, or am I around people who are just picking me up? You understand what I'm saying? So Alvin's not the, if I do something wrong, Alvin's going to pull my card. He's going to say, yo, Dennis, nah, that's bad. Marvin's going to be like, nah. Leon's going to be like, you know he is. He's gonna be like, I'm not getting out your car. So you know, Shane's gonna sit there and smile.
Shane's gonna sit there and be like,
I just love Jesus.
Shane is already
So I think having those people around you, when I changed my circle of friends, I mean, I had a rough past. And I think when I changed my circle of friends, my whole life changed. You know, my desires changed. So before the desire was money, and then the desire was like, oh, I gotta do something for God. Like, I gotta really make an impact in this world. You know, and that was because I was around people who were making an impact, who had this desire. So sometimes you just gotta check yourself, right? Surround yourself with the right people, and your life will change. And I believe that 100%.
Who you have in your circle is key. Who you have speaking into your life is key. Like you said, if you have people bigging you up, you're gonna be gassed up, and then when you fall, you're like, but wait, you thought, and then those people are gonna be the first ones out the door like, I never knew you, wait, what? You didn't hear that from me. So yeah, making sure that the people that are in your life are quality people that God has appointed, and you'll know who's supposed to be in your circle and who's not supposed to be in your circle, and in due season. It's not saying, you know, like dead everybody that is not like, you know, helping you in some way. If they don't have something to give to you, then, you know, dead them. That's not it at all. It's who you actually have in your core, in your circle, that is able to speak into your life and not just, you know, hand out any type of random advice because they read it in Glamour or whatever, you know, or it was in the latest blog post. Yes, thank you, Joe.
Don't be afraid to be the first to do what you're doing, because I was the first in my family to have my career. My family is all like nurses and teachers because they're Jamaican. Now my cousin is a speech and language pathologist as well, and now maybe, you know, he just had a son. Maybe he will do something that is not typical, so don't be afraid to be uncommon, atypical, unique, because it's a bold choice and it's a scary choice. You're not meant to be a carbon copy of anybody, you're meant to be you. And that's good enough.
Yeah, awesome. And I think also, because one of the things I struggle with the most is somebody's already doing that. That's my biggest thing. I see my friends, I mentioned it on my blog post, you know, co-workers and family members, people you went to school with, and they have all this stuff, and some of them are doing the things that I want to do, but I've often started things, and then all of a sudden you look around, it's like, oh, this person has the same thing, oh, they got a vlog, oh, she look almost like me. You know what, I'm just not even gonna do it no more. I'm gonna find something else to do. That comparison will kill you. So making sure, as you said, you know, the thing that God has called you to do, that's for you. And it will make room for you, and you can't be like, oh, somebody else is already doing it. Granted, you have to have that wisdom and that discernment to know, like, you know, maybe I might need to check in a little bit more to see if there's something else that I can really focus in on that might, you know, set me apart. Because it's a competitive industry that we're in as creatives, those who are creatives here. But not looking to them as if they're doing it, I'm not going to do it. Because God has called you for something specific.
Just one more comment. I think because we know that it's difficult to pursue a career or pursue a certain calling that we think we have in life, I think that should be all the more reason for us to kind of be there to support other people and not necessarily see those people as connections or this is my network. Like, we have to be able to, as you said before, speak into other people's lives. And I think that we need to be those people because we know what it is like. I think we need to be mindful that maybe a quiet person does have something to offer, but we don't see it. So we kind of have to, you know, pull it out of them, or like be willing to speak to people even if we don't see that star quality or that X factor or whatever.
But I just want to thank everybody so much for coming out to the Fearless Project. Again, I pray that you will be able to focus more, fear less, trust God, step out in faith. Don't let anything deter you. If you have been called by God, please, please, please do not shrink back. Do not be a person or a people that shrinks back, but trust in the Lord with all your heart. All right, that's the end of our discussion for fear in pursuing your career. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, if you're concerned for Marvy, if you're concerned for your sister, A of all, pray. B of all, comment below, and I would love to talk to you. Let's finish this conversation about fear in pursuing your career. What's next? Oh my gosh! Our fourth Friday at Marvy, 4FAM is what I like to call it. Fourth Fridays at Marvy's, we're bringing to you Battle of the Sex. Game night and discussion over at my church, Bronx Bethany Church of the Nazarene. So we'll be kind of picking up where we left off in talking about fear, attacking fear, and now we're looking at relationships. Whether you're in one, you want to be in one, you're trying to get out of one, we want to talk to you and with you about fear in relationships. RSVP right here on marvytv.com. I want to see you as we focus more and fear less on the Fear Less Project.